We're here.
Woohoo! Week
Everyone.
1.
Guys, it's here. Football is back.
24 hours from now, we'll have real honesty out football to watch.
We're
Because
back.
Vanderbilt's not real honest to God football.
I mean, they were playing Hawaii. Come on, week zero this year was pretty disappointing, in my opinion. At least the Vanderbilt Hawaii game was kind of interesting last year because they were in Hawaii. And Vanderbilt blew them out. It was like a close game. Hawaii was visiting an SEC team, and if they didn't throw a pick at the 1 yard line, probably beat them. And that was the only interesting game of the day the UMass New Mexico State game was so confusing to me because I was barely paying attention and they were wearing the exact same colors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really watch much of that one.
I literally just had to look at the schedule. Was like, wait, are we playing New Mexico or New Mexico State?
New Mexico, one of my schools.
Somebody tweeted this morning that said New Mexico's not even new or Mexico.
I saw that.
I was like, yep. You ain't wrong.
I did see that.
Hello.
It'll be a blowout.
Oh, yeah. If it's not, I'm going to cry.
New Mexico has they've got a good little quarterback, though.
Define little. Like Deuce Vaughn little?
No, he's a pretty big guy, but Mountain West little.
It was like Deuce Vaughn little. God. I saw this video about talking about the NFC East, and it said, getting a and this guy goes, having a running back that the defense can't find because he's so small can sometimes be beneficial.
There was the guy from Arkansas, wasn't it? I was getting him, the guy from LSU, confused, but Trenton Fisk, something like that. Y'all had a trick play that you ran where you had like a 5-5 track and field guy hide behind the offensive line.
That was LSU.
See, was it against you? For some reason, I always think of some short guy that played for
I don't know, but LSU had like a 5'5" guy. He went on to play in the NFL, actually.
Yeah.
For a minute.
I can't remember his...
Trendon Holloway?
Yeah, he was LSU.
Things I didn't know.
He was a track star there, too.
So he's quick.
Yeah, I just wrote about him. That's the only reason I know this information.
You don't just have random facts in your brain?
Unfortunately not. I have some.
I am full of random Aggie facts. Hey, what's his name from Texas wrote the book, Aggie Facts Thursday?
What?
There's a Texas fan. He's like a beat writer or something. But he has 2 volumes of a book called 100 Aggie Facts Every Longhorn Needs to Know.
Huh.
And I'm like, why are you so obsessed with me? Honestly.
That's funny.
I don't have 100 facts about Texas that I need to know.
No.
There's
one does.
There's the link to the play I was talking about, Sydney.
Oh, perfect.
I don't know if we are allowed to play it or not. It's on YouTube, though. I think we can show stuff on YouTube.
I think so.
But it's terrible quality. This is like 2005, I think. So it probably we won't subject everybody to that. It's a cool play, though.
Oh! Let's see. Let's get started then before we get too far off track. All right, Ethan, it's your time to shine. Tell us about Florida and Utah.
I am about to give y'all the most biased.
No.
You saw my picks. I think, okay, when you see the picks, I can't ever pick against my team. It's impossible for me to be unbiased when I'm picking about my team. Realistically, I think that we're probably 8-4. I think that we do have a chance to be 10-2. I think Georgia and LSU are really the only 2 teams that we don't have the horses to compete with, right? even though we've struggled, we still have had NFL draft picks. We still have had dudes go and be successful. But I think that people are sleeping on us so hardcore this year because we're not there yet. But I also think Graham Mertz is a very unsexy pick to be your quarterback. He was not particularly good at Wisconsin. Um, I'm saying this as somebody who rode the Anthony Richardson roller coaster for 12 games last year. And that's one thing that we got a grumpy old man in the chat. Yes, it's time to hear my bullshit, and I am on it. I am on that shit. I think that we're going to have a really good running game. I think that's going to set everything off. Last year, that was really our bread and butter, was setting up the running plays, really cool running play designs, which Lane Kiffin does a good job of like designing cool running schemes to where guys just like have huge holes, but it's only like 1 out of every 10 plays. We had some of those, but it set up Anthony Richardson throwing like deep play action shots. And I think that's going to be what we're going to rely on, except we're not going to have a quarterback that can throw the ball 80 yards in the air, but then spikes it on screen passes. Like Anthony Richardson literally looks like a Greek god, but he can throw the ball further than I've ever seen anybody throw a football. But then when he has to throw it 6 yards, it's like he just can't handle it. So I'm hoping that having a quarterback that can complete a 7-yard hitch, like that can throw the ball to the guy on time and not like hold it too long, I think it's going to make us look a lot better. So I'm saying the key to this game, number one, Cam Rising is going to be out. That's pretty huge. And Brant Kuithe is going to be out. So basically, the two best players on Utah's teams are going to be out of the game. If we lose, Utah's the Pac-12 champ, right? We were a 6-6 SEC team. I still think like if we lose with them not having their starting quarterback, it's going to be rough. Like they're Utah. Like I know Utah, they're a good Pac-12 team. This isn't Oregon. It's not USC. Like it's not I looked at their defensive line and they have like one guy that's over 300 pounds. Our entire offensive line averages like 6'6", 330. Like our defensive line, our top two defensive tackles weigh 800 pounds combined. Like when I'm not sure how much y'all remember from the game last year, but when you saw the two teams standing next to each other, like Florida just looks like an SEC team, but Utah looked like what was it, Mountain West small. Like even like they had that same vibe to where physically they just didn't match up. So if we can take advantage of that, I think we could have like a 2-touchdown win tomorrow. Not having Cam Rising, I think if their quarterback makes a mistake, like this is going to be his first start. They're starting a true freshman at left tackle. They're replacing their three best defensive players. I think first quarter they get a turnover because like happened last year to where we were marching the ball down the field, and then Montreal Johnson fumbled it, and they picked it up and almost ran it back for a touchdown. But up to that point, they weren't stopping us at all. And then they score a touchdown, stop us, score a touchdown again, and so it's 14-0. If we can do the inverse to them, to where maybe we get a turnover, maybe we force a young quarterback to make a mistake, maybe we force a young left tackle to miss an assignment, run some blitzes at him. I think by the first quarter, you could have a situation to where it's 10-0, 14-0, and Florida has the ball. It really just depends on their quarterback. It's kind of like, how do you predict such a drop off? I think Cam Rising is one of the better quarterbacks in the country. So this guy's actually their third string quarterback because their backup quarterback has a lacerated liver because Kyle Whittingham was running live full contact practices in fall camp, despite the fact that his QB1 had tore his ACL 8 months ago. So he had full contact with his quarterbacks, and his backup quarterback got hit and lacerated his liver. So he's out of the game.
I didn't even know you could do that.
Apparently there's different
know how that happened.
There's different grades of it. And his was like a grade 1 or something, and like a grade 4 is like you basically just die.
Well, let's hope he doesn't die then.
No, he's good. He's already out of the hospital. He just can't play football for a little while.
So how long is their QB1 out?
There, up until today, there was speculation. He was listed as their starter on their
Yeah,
depth
because I
chart.
didn't know that.
Yeah, and so this whole time it's kind of been like, will he, won't he? Or is it just kind of mind games from Kyle Whittingham,
Yeah.
trying to play it close to the vest? And then today it came out that he hasn't been cleared yet, and he's not going to be able to play. So maybe next week he's back. I've heard people say that it's an out of conference game. It's week 1. If you rush him back and then he's not 100%, and then he gets hit, he re-injures himself, then your whole season's just shot.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're good enough to our offense is just a question mark for me. Like, I do think our offensive line is going to be good. I think our running backs are going to be good. I'm higher on Graham Mertz than most anybody else is because of the orange and blue glasses. But I think that that's still going to be a question mark for me, like seeing how he deals with it, because at Wisconsin, when he got pressured, when he couldn't find it, he forced it. And if he throws picks, like we're in trouble just all season long. Like, it's same thing happened last year with Anthony Richardson, to where it's like we would be marching down the field and then you get a turnover, you fumble it, you throw a pick. Like, if Graham Mertz controls the ball and sets up intermediate passes off of our running game, I think we can make some noise. But I think we're good enough to beat Utah. I think it's gonna be like 38-17 maybe, but I don't know if that, just like last year, I'm not sure how much of an indicator that is for the rest of the year. So who you got? What's your predictions?
I have Utah winning, but
I don't remember who I picked.
that was just my fun pick.
Cindy, do you have it up to tell me who I picked?
I have it up.
Yeah.
Who did I pick? I don't remember.
Picked Utah.
Oh.
So this line originally opened at -10 for Utah, and it's gone all the way down to 2.5 because everybody knows Cam Rising's not going to play, Brant Kuithe's not going to play, and I think that, like I said, I think people are sleeping on us. I think our defense is going to be much improved. I think that we had no defensive line depth last year, and it killed us in the third and fourth quarter. Utah killed us in the third and fourth quarter, running the ball down our throats, because Gervin Dexter, Chris McClellan, Desmond Watson, I think Gervin Dexter played like the third most snaps of any interior defensive lineman in the country last year. So he was just constantly in the game, and defensive linemen aren't built to play 80 snaps of football. And now we brought in Cam Jackson, we brought in Caleb Banks, signed 3 defensive tackles out of high school. Like that, the meat of our defensive front has been beefed up, and we already had the biggest guy in college football until that TCU player showed up. So that Juicy, my boy Juicy Desmond Watson. So I mean, that's a 435-pound dude right there that just eats space. And now we added a 6'6", 365 guy to put in together. So if Utah tries to run the ball with behind their 300-pound guards, right, like 2 of our defensive linemen equal like 3.5 of their offensive linemen. And I think that now that we have the quality depth to keep those guys fresh, I think that we're going to be able to keep just shutting them down all the way through the fourth quarter, unlike last year where they put up like 200 rushing yards in the second half.
I mean,
y'all disappoint me. Both of y'all pick Utah. Wow. See, this is what I'm saying. We're being slept on. You guys, we'll see. 5-7. Even Kate, who's a Florida fan, could just only muster a 7-5.
That's because Kate is logical.
No, that's
one of my pals tweeted at me and said, "If Florida wins more than 7, I'll lick my own foot."
Well, there you go.
I mean, take that bet.
We can. Okay, so we know. Hopefully, I don't want to say we know. I don't trust Missouri as far as I can throw them. But Missouri and South Dakota.
Have they figured out their quarterback situation yet?
Missouri, I don't know.
I thought it was Brady Cook.
There's the answer.
I mean, it's the same guy from last year, right?
Yeah, I thought they were going back and forth between two people, though. I could be thinking about someone completely different.
Let me see if there's anything on here. Man, I went to the Missouri-Florida game last year. It was homecoming, and it was the most boring-ass game I've ever been to. Like, both offenses were just dreadful.
Was it at Missouri?
No, it was in Gainesville.
Oh, I thought you were saying you went to Columbia. I was like, why did you do that?
No, it was homecoming.
Okay, I thought you were talking about their homecoming.
No.
My bad. I was like, honey, why did you subject yourself to that? A&M doesn't have a homecoming, so there's that.
Really?
We don't do homecoming.
Interesting.
Because alum come to pretty much every game. Like the alum section's 90% of the time filled anyway. So there's no real reason to do it. I'm
That's
going to 2 games at Kyle this year and 1 at AT&T. I'm going to Alabama and ULM.
Fun.
Nice.
But yes, I think we can all say Missouri hopefully should win.
Hopefully.
Should is the key word.
I'll be rooting for South Dakota.
Why?
I mean, if I'm being honest,
I'm fine.
If I'm looking through the SEC, let's see, Arkansas I'd root for. Sometimes Auburn, sometimes Mississippi State.
I can't root for Mississippi State. I can't do it.
Maybe Vanderbilt, like, even though they caught us last year, and it's embarrassing in and of itself. I'm always rooting for Vanderbilt against other teams. Like, they beat Auburn last year. They beat another SEC team. You don't ever hear about that. I need them to beat somebody else in the SEC so people stop talking about our loss. But I mean, I root against every team in the SEC except for like a few. Like, I don't know. Like, honestly, Arkansas, I do like you guys in the West. Like, Arkansas, Auburn, sometimes Ole Miss, and Mississippi State. Like, there's only 4 teams in the SEC that I would ever actually root for.
Thanks.
Hey, you guys have Jimbo Fisher. Like, I can't root for Jimbo Fisher. He's been tainted by FSU. Like,
I'll give you that.
It's good reasoning.
Yeah.
Let's see. We got Virginia and Tennessee, which I know for our Field of Stream friends are going live tonight.
I'm excited to see Tennessee this year.
I am too.
Me 3. They're going to be so disappointed. I think they're going to realize that Joe Milton is their quarterback. He's a slow Anthony Richardson.
So that means they're going to lose to Vanderbilt?
I mean, they've done it more often than anybody else.
Fair.
They've lost to Vanderbilt more times than they've beaten Florida, Alabama, and Georgia in like the past 20 years.
That's scary.
See, last time we played Vandy, we only won by 5. So I feel like I shouldn't make too many jokes. But at least we didn't lose, and we don't have a quarterback who people are saying, what can Anthony Richardson not do?
The weirdest thing to me is I've seen all this like, oh, the Gators lost. They went 6-7 with a top 5 pick. And I'm like, it's like, okay, Anthony Richardson was a top 5 pick. He was not a top 5 pick because of what he's done. He's a top 5 pick for what he might become. And anybody who watched, you don't even have to watch the games. Look at the statistics. Like, it blows my mind that somehow one of the most raw, just sheer projection first round quarterbacks in a while. I mean, everybody can agree on that. He had no production in college, only started 1 year, but his physical gifts and everything is why he went so high. And somehow it's morphed into, but without him, what are they going to become? And it's like, dude, the dude had more tackles than touchdown passes for the first month of the season. Like, he was amazing to watch, like in the Utah game. He would be a 10 and a 0 in like the same game. Like FSU, the first quarter and a half starts off like 5 of 7 with 3 touchdowns and then goes 13 straight passes without completing a pass. 13. And literally some of them were just like screen passes. Yeah. So I think that why did you bait me, Shelby? You brought up Anthony Richardson. You sparked me all over again. I'm like, wait, we already did the Florida preview. I'm like, why are we talking about Anthony Richardson again? How do I tie this together?
We were talking about losing to Vanderbilt.
Oh, yeah, that's it. That'll do it. That'll bring out the Anthony Richardson. I'll never forget. If you haven't seen it, watch the last play of the game in the Florida Vanderbilt game. Anthony Richardson literally throws the ball 25 rows deep into the stands out of the back of the end zone. We're on like the 30 or 40-yard line, and all he has to do is put it for a jump ball in the end zone, and he throws it out of the back of the end zone. That play alone, I'm just like, how? Like, how? You have a 10-yard by 53-yard area to hit, and somehow you threw it into the stands.
0 out of 10. Would not recommend.
Losing to Vandy, 0 out of 10. Every time.
Except for baseball. They're good at.
We were 4-0 against them until the SEC tournament, and they beat us. The one thing Vandy's got going for him.
Yeah.
See, this Vandy has baseball. What does Missouri bring to the table again? Yes, exactly.
Such a weird inclusion. Missouri, I'm never going to be able to like Oklahoma, Texas A&M. It all makes so much more sense than Missouri.
Misery.
So,
did we all pick Tennessee?
Yeah.
Okay. Ball State and Kentucky.
Win for Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean, I think most of these are going to be a bit of a romp.
Let's see. Arkansas and Western Carolina.
Hopefully a romp.
You have to say hopefully.
Yeah, that's our Little Rock game. They moved it from 3 p.m. to noon, which really sucks because nobody wants to do that. Like, Little Rock used to be known for like tailgating and stuff, and they're just like doing everything to knock that away. They said they changed it because of the heat, but like the heat difference is 3 degrees, and they just wanted to get it out of the way. So that sucks because now my grandpa can't go, and that's our little family thing. But whatever. Hopefully it'll be a blowout. Hopefully nobody gets hurt because somebody always gets hurt on that field. And hopefully our starters are done after the first half. But we'll see.
So, do you prefer
I don't
having
know what you said, but something was rational.
Yeah, that was a very rational take. I thought she was talking about Sydney. Oh, man, what a day. Would you guys prefer having cupcake early season games to where, you get up 35-0 and then bring in your backups, or do you prefer the sort of more competitive out of conference games like LSU, FSU, like you guys went and played BYU, you guys were playing Miami, which they suck,
I
but
guess you could make an App State joke. I'm proud of you.
I feel like it's such a kind of hard trade-off because you want to get some depth built up early on because as the season goes on, you're more likely to get injuries. But also, like, how much benefit is it for a freshman to go against a 6'1", 240-pound defensive tackle? And then the next week they have to go up against some All-American that plays for Georgia or Bama.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I love
I
that
miss
we
the easy
have
schedules.
BYU as our third game because like it also kind of sucks. Like I don't really want to go watch Western Carolina, and I'm going up to Fayetteville the next weekend for the other game. But like, there's other stuff going on. I don't necessarily like. I'm not dying to go see us slaughter Kent State. So I do like that we have BYU right there instead of some other nobody team before going to LSU and playing in Death Valley.
Mm-hmm.
We're at Miami week 2, so we shall see.
It's going to be insane how prevalent Texas A&M fans are going to be in that stadium.
Oh yeah. I remember there was a video of a Miami player talking about how he's like, we went out for warm-ups and there was like nobody there yet. And I was like, oh, this is going to be fine. And then I came out of the tunnel at after we were in the locker room for a little bit and I was like, what the hell? Like, yep. Welcome to Kyle Field. Welcome to the SEC, friend. He's like, the whole stadium moved. And we're like, yeah. That happens. My sister's not going on Saturday. She goes, I don't really want to. And I was like, I don't really want you to be my sister anymore, but we have to have things for that. Here we are. So let's see. Mercer and Ole Miss, same thing.
Yeah.
What about a good game?
I'm going to just see what Ole Miss has going on. I just saw Matt Corral got cut by the Panthers.
Hi, Rebel.
RIP.
Yeah. I never liked Matt Corral, so there's that.
Me either. We picked him off 7 times in one game.
There's a Florida fan alternate timeline scenario that people bring up to where if Jim McElwain wasn't fired, and at the time that he was fired, we had Matt Corral, Tyquan Thornton, and Jamar Chase committed. And number one, I just laugh at it because McElwain was awful and there's no way those guys were going to stick. Jamar Chase was obviously going to end up at LSU his entire life. Like, there was just no doubt about it. Matt Corral always sucked. But every time I think about Matt Corral, it just cracks me up because people have convinced themselves that if Jim McElwain just didn't make up the depth threats, that class would have stayed intact and Jim McElwain would still be here.
Why would you wish that upon yourself?
Again, we have some dumb people in our fan base. That dude was the weirdest coach I've ever seen on any team. Like, man, I've watched a lot of sports, and
That dude was weird.
Probably the biggest goober I've ever seen in like a high-level coaching job.
I'm here for the use of the word goober.
Yeah,
I love that word.
Me too.
So this is completely off topic, but speaking of word use, I have a little boy in my class who speaks predominantly Spanish. And I had one of my other kids get sick in the hallway. And Josue does not speak English at all. But he walks up to me and he goes, bleh.
That's funny.
Yes. That's exactly. I saw it. Thank you.
That's good.
I was like, I saw it. I saw it.
The whole school did. Everybody saw it.
Like, thanks for sharing, friend. Let's see. I've got. Let's see. I can talk about A&M for a second. Donovan Green is out. He tore his ACL, and we are very, very sad about it. He was one of our starting tight ends. But if we were gonna lose someone, tight end is probably the best position for us to lose someone at, because we've got the depth there. But it still sucks because he was doing really well. Anaya Smith is back. God bless America. If I had to pick one person on this team to succeed and make it to the NFL, it would be Anais. Like, I love him so much. He doesn't know me, but I love him so much.
So,
Send him a tweet.
oh, go ahead, Sydney.
Oh, I was just saying, send him a tweet. Slide into
Oh,
the
God.
Anaya Smith, I love you.
Love you.
When you graduate, will you be on my podcast? Okay.
So what are you most interested to see? I feel like I'm gonna have to watch some of this game, just because I'm super intrigued by Bobby Petrino and Jimbo Fisher being on the
Oh,
same
I am
coaching
too.
staff.
Me too.
Like, I feel like this game has the potential to be like 84-0. Like, I think those two guys will legitimately try and run the score up on poor old New Mexico. And I think Jimbo will make it a point to let Bobby Petrino call his crazy plays and do his whole thing. And you guys are going to be so gassed up for putting up like 10 touchdowns on some shitty team. And then you go into Miami, and I hope that you guys beat them. But I could see a scenario to where the first play call disagreement happens against Miami, and then it's like the second quarter, Jimbo overrides Petrino, Connor Wigman throws a pick, all hell breaks loose.
Don't put that in the universe.
Hey, I mean, it's two agents of chaos.
Put that shit away. There are apparently t-shirts that have Connor's last name and Gig'em combined. And I'm here for
Wiggum?
it. Wiggum.
That's not his name. It's like Ralph Wiggum from The Simpsons.
No, if you combine it. Whatever.
Isn't it like some kind of like script thing too? I think you've said that before.
Yeah.
The Wiggum. It reads better than it sounds to the ear. Like, it looks good visually, but hearing you say it out loud,
You're like, why?
It wigs me out.
Why you say that out loud? Why you do that? Hello, cat. My cats are walking around trying to figure out this new apartment. Like, what is happening, Mom? We don't live here. This is not our place. I'm excited, like, going back to talking about, like, whether you want cupcakes or not. We play Notre Dame to open next season.
Ooh.
That'd be cool.
So August 31st, we play Notre Dame in Kyle Field.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good game.
Hopefully. For us, hopefully.
I mean, matchup of two teams that lost to Sun Belt teams.
Oh,
tough.
Oh, I think Marshall's Conference USA.
Who knows? I remember I think it was it was the year after I graduated. We played Texas State to open the season. And I have friends that went to Texas State because, it's close-ish. And they were like, we're going to beat A&M. And I was like, on what planet? Like, what? What? And they're like, yeah, our quarterback's great. And this and that. I said, honey, no. I don't even know who my quarterback is right now. And no. Like, the answer is no. Okay, we got North Carolina and South Carolina, which that one I'm actually intrigued to see.
Mm-hmm.
Me too. Me too.
I'm not sure why I care enough.
Me either, but I have some South Carolina friends
We do
these
too.
days, and they have very high hopes, I think. So
For the oh god, what's his name? The coach. Just went blank.
Beamer ball.
Beamer.
Beamer ball. There it is.
For some
Why?
Beamer ball. I actually like Shane Beamer, but
I don't like
I
him.
hate
just think it's
Spencer
dumb.
Rattler, so don't like
I
that.
don't like either one of them.
Survive,
So.
and you can't survive at Oklahoma playing quarterback under Lincoln Riley. I don't know what to tell you. Who's now at US, but still.
So before the Tennessee game last year, Spencer Rattler had more interceptions than he did touchdowns.
Yeah, he sucked against Arkansas.
He was behind Anthony Richardson in QBR. But because he killed Tennessee's soft ass defense and then caught Clemson in their worst year in 6 years or so, 7 years or so. And then they put up a bunch of touchdowns. Everybody's like, Spencer Rattler, he's that guy. Like, this is going to be his, 5th, 6th year in college? Like, he's not a young quarterback. We have enough sample size. Spencer Rattler in his first year with Lincoln Riley looked really good. Yeah. Then he got benched. He's gotten progressively worse as he's gotten older. And yet somehow every offseason, everybody tells us that this is going to be the year to where he doesn't throw 15 interceptions.
Heisman front runner.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
He beat A&M last year, but he still almost blew it. And everybody beat A&M except for LSU. So.
And Arkansas.
And
yeah,
Arkansas.
they were real mad at Florida after our official Florida football Twitter page posted this thing, and it was like hashtag rattled, and it was the picture of Spencer Rattler getting stiff armed to the ground. And South Carolina fans were so butthurt that the official page would tweet something like that. And yeah, South Carolina fans get butthurt a lot, I've noticed. It's a very soft fan base that
with their live chicken.
North Carolina is also ranked number 21, which is interesting.
Is Mac Brown still the coach?
I do believe so.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there you go.
Which is wild to me.
So, Rich Rodriguez is coaching at Jacksonville State now. Don Brown, he was I don't know if y'all remember Don Brown, but he was the defensive coordinator for Michigan 3 years ago, the best defense in the country. They fire him. And Jerry Keel, who was the coach at Minnesota, was pretty decent at Minnesota, but then had some kind of seizure disorder thing, or had cancer or some kind of health issue, and he had to retire. And that's when they brought in PJ Fleck now. But I was watching these shitty football games on Saturday, this week 0 garbage, and I'm hearing these names, and I'm like, how are these guys still coaching football? How is Mac Brown still the coach of a P5 team? Go retire. How can you be an 18-year-old dude and sit across from Mac Brown and just be like, yeah, this guy's gonna make it until I'm a senior? It's I feel like, he's one quick sudden movement from being Hugh Freeze in that hospital bed. I feel like Mac Brown's gonna break a hip before the season's over.
Jesus.
I mean, he's I'm sorry. If I ever made $10 million in a year, $7 million, whatever he's getting paid, 50, 60, how much money do you need before you just retire and go and live your life?
Yeah.
The grind of being a college football coach, just constantly recruiting, constantly working, and you're 75 years old. Come on, man, just go drink a Mai Tai.
I have questions.
But Drake May is the truth, and I think that's all that matters. I think that he's going to ball out, and South Carolina fans are going to start off salty.
With their live chicken.
I think South Carolina is going to be the only SEC team to lose this week.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, there's really only, 3 games that are probably even going to be competitive?
Well, I think
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, maybe 4. If Tennessee really shits the bed.
Yeah, like, that was kind of my fringe one as well. But, I mean, 3 or 4 of those, and, I mean, I think that South Carolina, I mean, all of those games, the Florida, Utah, South Carolina, North Carolina, and LSU games are all, like, 3-point spreads. They're all basically just toss-ups. But, yeah, I
You
think
don't
that
think
South Carolina's
A&M's
gonna be the
going to
one
be
to lose.
competitive? Thank God.
I'm telling you, Petrino's gonna run the score up for you.
Competitive game on Saturday. Can't handle it.
I'm so happy that I get to get my game out of the way early on.
My
Like,
mom literally goes, "Oh, we're gonna go to some guy's swim party on Saturday." I said, "You're busy Saturday night." And she goes, "I am," and I said, "Yes, we are busy Saturday night, 6 p.m. We are busy." And she looks and she goes, "Oh."
Oops.
oh yeah, that.
Like, yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, 'tis the season where I just go MIA.
Mhm.
Not in town, or I'm stuck glued in front of a TV.
Yep, I'm gonna have my computer and I'm gonna be making lesson plan slides for my kindergartners and watching football.
Perfect.
So it'll
Is
be
there anything better than like
working.
cool November mornings? Like waking up at 9, 8:39, getting some coffee or tea, whatever. You got your
Mhm.
jammies on, and you just watch college football all day long.
God,
Like, the window of
God
opportunity.
bless America.
That's like a 3-week window for me in Florida, but it's like the best three. Those are just peak. Like, that's primo, in my opinion.
I'm already in pajamas, so I'm ready to now transplant this pajama outfit to Saturday. I got my spooky pants on.
I
Oh, yeah.
have My wife bought me a shirt for Father's Day, and I haven't worn it yet because I told her I have to save it for the first game of the season, so I get to wear it for the first time tomorrow.
Woohoo.
Yeah, excited. Still has the tag on it. I've been waiting, and about 6:30 tomorrow. Wait, is it 6 or 7? When do we start? 7.
7.
Yeah, 6:30 tomorrow. I'm turning everything off, and there's only one thing that I'm doing. I'm glued to the TV.
So when we talk shit, you won't reply?
It depends.
Because I'm ready to talk mad shit.
What do y'all
Hey,
think the last game of the weekend is going to go with LSU and FSU?
I think I picked LSU.
LSU's top defensive tackle. I think he's a tackle. Mason
Maybe,
Smith isn't out.
yeah.
and their running back.
And one of their running backs. They're pretty stacked at running back, though.
They always are.
Yeah. I think they lose.
You think
Really?
LSU loses?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be like a 2-touchdown win. I think FSU is mega overrated.
You always think FSU is mega overrated.
I'm telling you, look at okay. All right, allow me to make my case. Number one, in 3 seasons at FSU, Mike Norvell has beaten one ranked team, and it was an overrated North Carolina team in 2020 that they beat by an end of game field goal. Last year, they had one win over a team that finished the year with a winning record. They lost to Florida at home, right? So Florida, we weren't very good. Literally, we gave them. We should have beaten them, and this was FSU's best team ever, best team in 10 years, right? So now coming up, I think Jordan Travis, he's not a good quarterback. He's so overrated. Johnny Wilson's good. Jared Verse is really good. Trey Benson's good. They have some good players. I think they're going to be like an 8-4 team, and I think everybody's going to get to laugh at FSU. And I think it's going to start Sunday, when LSU beats them by 2 touchdowns.
I've got LSU or A&M going into LSU undefeated and losing.
Yeah.
I also have Florida going into LSU undefeated and losing.
Well, do you understand how peak Aggie? I can't even think of the word now. How peak Aggie that is, though. Battered Aggie syndrome. That's what it is. Like the fact that I just
feel that.
I just know that if I have happiness and we're undefeated to the last game of the season and we lose, I just know that's what would happen.
There's an ant on my desk. Difficulty.
There was an ant.
There was an ant on my desk.
Oh, in Sydney's world, there is a bug. Good Lord. It's on ABC, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll watch that one then.
In Orlando.
Orlando. Home of Mickey Mouse.
I'm real dialed in on this Arkansas volleyball game. They're beating number 1 Wisconsin.
Gotta check in on the Rangers is what I gotta do.
We just
Oh,
swept
okay.
number 2 Stanford. So
Ooh, very nice.
SEC taking the volleyball back.
Taking the court.
Yeah. Nebraska. Who's the other really good volleyball program?
Nebraska's the one that's playing with 90,000 people right now.
Yo, what's up, Adrian?
He's here.
There are some really cool videos on Twitter going around
of Nebraska. Yeah.
Stadium right now.
I haven't gotten to watch them yet because I was, talking to y'all. But
have y'all seen the Eric Gilbert video?
I watched part of it, and Ethan's not in this chat anymore, but we had a lovely conversation today in the Film and Streams chat about players that are just like disappointing.
Yep.
I was like, Damon Demas. Kid was arrested for battery, I think. Like, of a woman, and I was like, great, we don't want you on this team anymore. Bye.
It's just so crazy to me.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm a Florida fan, so I have too many examples to name.
That's true.
Ethan, what were your thoughts on Swamp Kings? I haven't finished the last 2 episodes, but
definitely for me was a nice nostalgia trip.
Mm-hmm.
I was, the original plan from what everybody was expecting was going to be a lot dark, more in depth, a lot more behind the scenes. In reality, I mean, when they said Tebow and Urban were going to be on it, we all probably should have realized that they're not going to show like some of the crazy stuff that was going on. I mean, they touched on the arrest and stuff, like, a lot of that stuff. I mean, it was, there was probably another episode or 2 of material that they could have gone into, and I think satisfied everybody. Like, I think that there were probably another episode or 2 worth of, bad shit that they could have brought up that everybody wanted to see.
Mm-hmm.
That's all anybody taught. Oh, this was haters, stay mad. Is all I got to say. You mad because your team's not important enough to get a Netflix documentary. You mad because your quarterback's not famous enough to get a Netflix documentary. Like, FSU, Georgia, Tennessee fans, they have been so salty everywhere I've looked. Oh, this was just them talking about how great they were. Oh, blah, blah. Yeah, I mean, it's true. We whooped everybody's ass for a 4-year period there, and then came crashing down, and it's been rough since then. But that was a hell of a ride.
Yeah.
And there were some crazy, I mean, Percy Harvin, Tim Tebow, Aaron Hernandez, like the dudes that were on those teams, I mean, pretty incredible. Just not even on the field, but off the field, crazy shit too. And I think that people wanted to see more of that, but
Yeah, the
ultimately,
drama.
Tim Tebow and Urban Meyer weren't going to be sitting there being interviewed about some incident at the swamp or the bar of the
Murders.
swamp. Yeah, like I think that I read this thing today where they kind of intentionally steered clear of that because Netflix already has a 3 or 4 part documentary on
Yeah.
that. Like, and I do think that it happened after the fact. Like he wasn't even with Florida anymore, and yeah, I feel like there was a lot of dirt that was left uncovered. For me, though, I mean, I had goosebumps the whole time. Like literally sitting there
Yeah.
telling my wife, like, "You got to watch this. Oh, this is when we blocked the kick," and she's just like, "What happened? I don't, where's the ball?" And I'm like, "He hits the ball. He hits the," and I'm like, I'm like sitting there like watching the games like this, like the LSU game. I'm just like, just mad, like watching it 20 years later,
Yeah.
like why did we let this happen? Yeah, so
Johnny
yeah,
never beat LSU. I feel that.
yeah. So for me, that it was, I loved it.
I like the parts that I've watched of it. I was watching because I was like 8 during that time period, and I was watching the SEC championship game with Arkansas. And I was like, man, I'm so glad that I was younger and not like old enough to suffer this because I don't
Yeah,
think I would have lived past it.
yeah, that was a crazy game. It was like we had it and then we didn't have it and made it way more interesting than it
And it
needed to
was
be.
all ours. And then
Yep.
it just did the typical Arkansas flop.
I'm not even gonna go there. I'm just gonna let that sit. The typical Arkansas flop. Adrian says he can't speak on bad players as a Hurricane fan.
Ooh, yeah. Miami, them Florida boys.
Florida
It's a
man.
unique, yeah, Florida man, Florida boy. There's a reason why there's more players from Florida in the NFL than anywhere else. Like the best recruits in the country in Florida. Like it's a wild group of people. And Miami and Florida State have had some ne'er do wells come through.
Are you saying there's more talent in Florida than there is in Texas?
Yeah. I think Texas excels at like QB development, probably offensive line. When it comes to skill position players, there's nobody, cornerback, wide receiver. Like maybe Louisiana puts a ton out, but they don't have the same population that Florida and Texas and California do. But yeah,
Interesting. I'm not hating on you for saying it. I'm just curious.
I if you go and look, like I feel like we think of the teams from Florida and putting those guys into the league when we think of players from Florida. But when you go and look at like, and Texas has this too. We're both definitely in that like top tier of talent. But you look at like Minnesota's roster, and they'll have like 11 dudes from Florida. You look at you know UNLV's roster, and they just randomly have like 8 dudes that are from Florida, and they might be 2, 3 star recruits, but like what was the Khalil Mack? Khalil Mack was from Florida, and he played at Buffalo because he couldn't get into any of the schools, and so he's still a kid from Florida, right? But your brain doesn't associate Khalil Mack with Florida, and so I think like that's the key really for the 3 big schools is keeping those dudes in the state. Like every year the top dude from Florida goes somewhere else. And when Florida, FSU, and Miami were good, all those dudes stayed home. Now they go to Clemson, they go to LSU, they go to Alabama, they go to Georgia, go to Ohio State. We got to get the goons back. We got to get these dudes that are going to rip somebody's head off in the locker room and make plays.
And the and is very important.
That's right.
You got to do both. Otherwise, it's no fun.
It's illegal.
Okay. I mean, as in you have to be able to do both of the things, otherwise you are no fun in your world.
Yeah, but also it's illegal to rip somebody's head off.
That is true. Literally, yes.
Literally.
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 Oh Lord.
One.
So we're pretty much sure that the SEC is going to have a winning record this week.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The sky is falling if they don't.
Yeah, something.
Literally, the sky is falling.
If the SEC doesn't have a winning record this week, we are in for the greatest season of college football ever. Like, if somehow half of the SEC starts off with a loss this week, things are going sideways really fast.
Fast.
Fair. It's already gone sideways at that point.
We're upside down at that point.
I'm here for I'm always team chaos.
As long as chaos doesn't include Alabama losing to Texas.
Yeah.
I can't root for that.
I don't have the same hard feelings towards
I don't know
Texas
the
as
lesser
you
of
do.
two evils.
See, it's like when Texas and OU play, sometimes I'm like, can I root for an earthquake? Is that mean?
Mm-mm.
On that note, friends, we will see you next week to talk, hopefully, about exciting things that happened and how Ethan's team didn't win. And oh Lord, I'm scared.
Don't be scared. It's all right. Everybody's going to be tuned in. You're all going to get to see it. You're going to realize that all these prognosticators who say we're going 5-7, oh, they lost Anthony Richardson. They won 6 games last year with a quarterback that completed 50% of his passes. Obviously, they're not going to be able to replicate that, right? We'll see. Everybody's going to be tuned in. Graham Mertz for Heisman. You saw it here first. This has been my thing for weeks. I've been on this train for a while. I'm totally unbiased in my assessment. Like, I think Graham Mertz could have a, Bo Nix transfer type of thing, like Will Levis at Kentucky when he was with Liam Cohen. Like, these dudes sucked at their previous stop. Go somewhere, get a fresh start, get a fresh offense, they're seasoned, and they come in ready to prove something. And I think Mertz is going to shut everybody up.
Okay.
Okay.
Go to sleep, Shelby. It's bedtime.
Good night, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
Max.